Chapter 4. The night fear crawled through Saladin's camp. Darkness didn't bring relief. It brought something worse. After hours of retreating under a sun that felt like punishment, Saladin's army finally collapsed into a valley of hard, cracked earth. The men dropped wherever they stood, some on their knees, some flat on the sand, gasping, shaking, whispering prayers. The desert at night is cold, but that night, it felt hunted. No torches, no campfires, no speeches, just silence. Heavy, suffocating silence, because the men weren't afraid of Baldwin's army anymore. They were afraid of what they had felt, not seen. A force of 500 riding with the impact of 5,000. A boy half sick, half crippled, fighting like he carried destiny on his shoulders. A charge that shattered formations like pottery. The mind makes monsters out of moments like that. Saladin's commanders gathered around him near the center of the valley. They didn't speak loudly. They didn't dare. One of them whispered, "My Sultan!" The men believed the knights were not men at all. Another added, "They say the ridge moved, that the ground itself fought for the boy." A third voice, older, calmer, leaned closer. "They think God favored him." Saladin closed his eyes. All his life, he had been the master of morale. He knew how to break it in others, and how to guard it in his own ranks. But he had never felt fear spreading like this. Not from defeat, but from the unknown. The knights hadn't followed. No arrows came from the hills. No torches appeared on the horizon. The silence itself became the enemy. When a twig snapped somewhere in the valley, dozens of men jerked awake, reaching for weapons. A horse whinnied, and the entire rear flank panicked, thinking knights had returned. Fear behaves like fire. Once it catches, it doesn't stop until everything is ash. And in that flickering, uncertain darkness, something else happened. Saladin walked the perimeter alone. No guards, no advisors. He needed to see for himself how broken his army truly was. He passed lines of soldiers trembling under blankets. Some were awake and staring at nothing. Some were asleep but twitching, caught in nightmares that wouldn't let them rest. One veteran, white-bearded, scarred from years of war, grabbed his leg and whispered with cracked lips, "Sultan, the boy." He was glowing. Saladin froze, not because he believed it, but because this was a man who never succumbed to superstition. If he was imagining light where there was none, the army was already lost. Saladin gently placed a hand on the man's shoulder and moved on. And that's when he realized something terrifying. It wasn't the desert killing them. It wasn't thirst. It wasn't the wounded. It was the idea of Baldwin, a boy who shouldn't have been on a battlefield, a king who shouldn't have even been alive, a figure who appeared at the perfect moment, on the perfect ridge, with the perfect strike. To Saladin's men, he wasn't a teenager. He was an omen, a sign, a message from a world above the battlefield. Saladin returned to his tent, sat down, and finally allowed himself to exhale. He was Saladin, conqueror, tactician, commander of armies beyond counting. Yet for the first time, he wasn't planning strategy. He was praying his soldiers wouldn't break completely before dawn. So, let me ask you, bro, if you were Saladin, would you try to rebuild your army's courage with truth, or lie to calm the fear?